Hello, Ben Mankiewicz with you. Thanks for joining us on TCM, where we're featuring a lineup of night movies, films where much of the action, certainly the critical action, is set at night. Our pictures this evening are set in the city. We just had Martin Scorsese's 1985 dark comedy After Hours. Up next, our second straight Scorsese film, one that shocked audiences in 1976, still packs a lasting wallop today. Taxi Driver. Moreover, Taxi Driver sent an undeniably clear signal to the international movie community. Three of the most compelling artists of the modern era had arrived and were here to stay. Screenwriter Paul Schrader, leading man Robert De Niro, and director Martin Scorsese. In Taxi Driver, De Niro is Travis Bickle, an alienated Vietnam vet working the night shift as a New York cabbie. Bickle is a walking contradiction, moralizing about the degradation of the city, yet spending his free time in X-rated theaters, using makeshift weights to get into shape in his dingy apartment, but popping pills to stay awake and surviving on junk food. Travis's life is a lonely and depressing existence. He becomes dangerously obsessed with two women, a beautiful and savvy political advisor played by Sybil Shepherd, and a prostitute, a girl just 12 years old, played with uncommon wisdom and depth by Jodie Foster. The city's moody and threatening streets, which Scorsese often uses as a backdrop in his films, have never looked more intimidating than in Taxi Driver. You don't go some places at night in the city, Scorsese explained, but Travis, quote, puts himself right in the war zone and he's upset by it. And the more he's upset by it, the more he stays in it. The director, fresh off the success of Mean Streets in 1973 and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, released the next year, faced a professional and personal dilemma at the time. I had to choose whether I was going to make Hollywood-type pictures or make more personal movies, Scorsese said. When Taxi Driver came together, it was serendipitous for Scorsese, De Niro, and Schrader. Schrader described it as three people coming together at a certain point in their lives, all needing to say the same thing. The cast, always so deftly handled by Scorsese, also includes Harvey Keitel, Albert Brooks, and Peter Boyle. It earned Oscar nominations for Best Picture, Best Actor for Robert De Niro, Best Supporting Actress for Jodie Foster, and for Bernard Herrmann's moody, brass-driven score. Released by Columbia Pictures in 1976, this is Taxi Driver. Screenwriter Paul Schrader took less than 2 weeks to write Taxi Driver. Famously, though, its most well-known bit of dialogue, "You talking to me?" was improvised by Robert De Niro. Over the years, there have been conflicting stories of what inspired De Niro. Did he come up with it out of thin air during the film shoot or lift it from a stand-up comedian he'd seen? Clarence Clemens, the late saxophone player in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, wrote in his memoir that De Niro saw Springsteen say it in concert as part of a playful exchange with the audience. No matter where the line came from, it has taken on a life of its own. It's slotted at number 10 on the American Film Institute's list of top movie quotes. It inspired a 1987 feature-length comedy of the same name. It's also been endlessly parodied, including by De Niro himself, who uttered it playing fearless leader in the 2000 comedy The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Coming up, another dark and dangerous night in New York as Tony Musante and Martin Sheen terrorize subway passengers trapped on a train. The Incident from 1967 is next on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, The Incident, then Alphabet City, and later Green Mansions. It's not easy being TCM tonight.
Yes, the movie.